Hello and good morning. My name is Kieron Seamons. This is my inky world and we are going to get into some inky drawings today. We really start off with no plan, no sketches. We just kind of put the ink down and see where it takes us. And sometimes that's a very beautiful experience and sometimes it's kind of like a nervous experience. But what it does is it kind of builds your brain into a very powerful way of using all the resources that are already in there. So, if you're in the mood to do some fun drawing, then get your paper and pens and let's do some drawing. Let's do it. Well, hello. Let's get on with some ink. I'm quite excited to get started today. I'm not quite sure what we are going to be drawing, but let's start off with a biro today. Let's try and get something in there that's slightly different. And again, it's always nice to kind of start off with something that's kind of got a different feeling to it. Okay, that's a nice kind of feeling, a nice kind of shape, and I'm just going to try and, it's a bit small, get something a bit bigger. I like that. I like the feeling of it. And that has started us off trying giving us some kind of punky haircut. But where is it going to take us? I've kind of scribbled down some kind of bird shape. And I've kind of got an eye. Oh, I wasn't too pleased with what actually kind of gave me too many lines. Too many lines. By that I mean it kind of didn't leave the circle clear, so it's kind of given me some kind of bizarre kind of bleed into the eye. And I'm kind of thinking that it would be nice to kind of give something I'm kind of liking that kind of bird vibe that it's got. Though I'm not quite. The head is actually pulled quite far over, so it means that I need to think about what is going to happen with this. I'm kind of happy with the way that has all kind of bled through in a way that has kind of led me into a bird structure, although I'm not really 100% sure that it is a bird. It's bird elements to it. But Again, we were talking yesterday about the sketches and how sketches kind of can lead you into a direction. And the way of using sketches is a very beautiful way to kind of strengthen your ability to change direction. Someone was talking yesterday about getting into sketching thumbnails, and yeah, thumbnails is a very good way to kind of build skills. The actual description was vomiting out ideas, and yes, that can be a way to describe it, as long as that kind of vomiting of ideas, that throwing up of ideas, is not just doing it in a way to have ideas, and that you are doing it in a controlled type of way, that otherwise that kind of action of kind of having to come up with an idea can bring in a lot of repetition. And repetition is something that needs to be careful. You need to be very careful with it. Now, teeth is a subject that I have long put teeth in my birds, and I'm not quite sure why. Let me just take that a little bit more down if I can. Nice. Yeah. For example, like when I'm working on a story, very often I will do thumbnails as I'm writing my notes, and that basically gives me a lot of power of kind of remembering exactly what was going through my mind. So to write, for example, now I'm writing the book. Sometimes if I don't write something, I do find that when I come back to read my wording and my notes, sometimes I'm not as good. I'm not as good with my wording, and sometimes I find it very difficult to kind of work out exactly what I meant. So little thumbnails and little sketches by the side are very, very good. A very good process. And what it does is it kind of gets you to a point where you're kind of visualizing the story as you go. And I feel the visualization Mr. Miro, the visualization of the story as you're going through it can be quite a powerful thing. By sketching as you're writing, it kind of, they reinforce each other a lot. I do find that my notes, sometimes when I look through and I see there's a little sketch, a lot of the information comes flooding back just by the simple fact of a sketch. And that's a really, really beautiful place to be. Yeah, see, I don't have enough space there for the tail, which has kind of bugged me a little bit that I didn't move it over an inch. But okay, I kind of lent the drawing forward, and although that kind of puts it into a different realm, really, I'm going to have to find an expressive way to explain that. And again, by putting myself in that situation, now I can start to see that because the drawing is leaning back and his eyes are very in a staring manner, I do feel like it's helped me. The way that the drawing has helped me to define that this character is in some way in shock. He has seen something. And again, very nice. I actually called my I called my daughter today to wish her a happy birthday, and I called quite early so that I would catch her before she'd gone to university. Only for her to look at me with very kind of, well, eyes a little bit like my bird actually. She kind of looked at me as if to say, okay. Okay, Dad, have you lost your mind? And I was like, huh? Well, I just wanted to catch you before you shoot off to university and have your busy day and what. And she told me, oh, okay, thanks, Dad, but it's not my birthday. Oh, dear. Apparently it's later on in the week. It was the right month anyway. So I even sang her happy birthday. Oh well. That's a thing when you start getting a bit old, I guess. You start losing your mind a little bit. Lovely. Very beautiful feeling about that. And feathers also are very, feathers or scales or anything like that are really quite beautiful subject to draw. Trying to divide that by thickening up some of those lines. If you haven't subscribed and you do enjoy my drawing adventures, please do. It's very, 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 very heartwarming to see people that join and people that watch the videos. Very, very, very heartwarming. Got something there. It's got a nice feeling, a nice expression about it, and I'm actually really pleased with the way the tail has actually worked out. It's almost like it's frozen in time almost. So it's been quite a bizarre morning already. I'm not really one for watching too much of the news and what's going on in the world. So sometimes when I do actually see the news, or I see someone who tells me, "Oh my God, did you see what happened?" I'm always quite shocked at how crazy this world has got. You know. I did notice that my council tax has gone up by about 30%. It's like, wow, where do these people think we get the money from? It's just shocking, absolutely shocking. And there's quite a beautiful. Oh my God! Look. Can you see that? I just smashed my nib. Don't like you. Beautiful. Someone's having some work done across the road, and at the beginning, that kind of chainsaw type feeling, that sound was very disruptive for Mr. Miro. He was kind of like running around in circles trying to find out where that noise had come from. Got a very, very wonderful expression. I'm really pleased with the way that the bird has kind of looked so kind of shocked by everything. Lovely. And there's something very beautiful about doing these morning sketches. It really does kind of put you into almost like a meditative state. You know, you kind of just kind of closing your mind and letting whatever comes. And it's a very, very beautiful, natural way to draw. Or sketch, if you want to call it a sketch. And I do have a tip jar at the top of my my YouTube page. There's a little web jar. You can donate money to keep the channel alive, keep it ticking along. Ink is not cheap these days, and your donations are greatly appreciated, and a very huge thank you to everybody that has donated this week. I love you all. The amount of ink that I go through in a month is quite ridiculous, to be honest. I do like to keep my ink thick and messy, to be honest. And there's a really lovely feeling. It's got a really lovely feeling about that. And I'm almost desperate for some of it to dry. I would really like to get in and put a little bit of grey in there, but let's find a brush. I have been using a lot of grey recently with getting back into the Norman's style, so forgive me if the next batch of drawings are using a lot of grey. It's basically getting my mind back into that style. And it does help a lot. As I've often explained, these are kind of not really my illustrations. These are more of my my sketches. These are my finding where everything is. Now I'm going to just let that sit for one more minute before I put any more grey on there, and I'm going to outline. I'm going to outline this drawing. Change that brush. As I don't want the grey to turn black from the wet ink. And it's a very, very, that's why I don't do a lot of colour on this channel. I don't do colour for the simple reason that a lot of the times I would have to stop the whole video and then wait and go back through and wait for another stage of the day to come back to finish off once all the ink has dried. And sometimes that kills a little bit of the feeling for me. Obviously when I'm doing illustrations for books or CD covers or whatever else I get asked to do, that's a different situation, and one that kind of really needs you to take more time to to bring it alive, to bring it back to, let me just get a clean piece of kitchen roll. What would life be like without kitchen roll? And I'm just going to try and dry off some of the areas that I think maybe the ink might be still wet, and that will just make the painting down of see some of the legs are very wet, and I don't really want them to bleed into the grey. And that's a kind of a cheat way to do it, really. Where was I? It has a beautiful texture. It just slightly kind of brings everything to life, and it's such a beautiful feeling. Very nice. And as you can see that I'm using two different pots there, one with slightly more texture into it, and one that is basically old dirty water. And the difference in textures there, as you will see, will kind of bring in more texture to it and more grey to it, and that, in my mind, it really helps define different areas. Quite beautiful. And that really is everything pulled together. You can see there the darker textures there on that grey there, next to that. Very, very, very different feeling. Gives it more. In this case here, it's giving more distance to that back wing. The same as it should with that leg. Lovely. Very lovely feeling to it. I love the way that texture has come across there. I'm very, very pleased with that. I love the way that has divided the drawing. Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And I'm almost tempted. Do I have some blue? Cyan blue. Let's just try and get in there. Just try and get in there and get a little bit of colour in behind it. Again, just defining an atmosphere almost. Wonderful, wonderful. Very pleased with that for today. Some kind of terrified crow. I love that. It's got a lot of vibrancy into it, and the grey there has really helped. And you know, like I've been saying, it has been a little bit of a relearning for me to get back into using these textures and the greys. And I very much appreciate you being here today, and I very much appreciate everybody's input and their donations or your comments. Very much appreciated. And I will be back here again for another drawing very soon. If you have any comments on today's drawing, I would love to hear from you. I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye bye.